Welcome to this video. It is Saturday, it is the 2nd of July. What we're going to be doing here is looking at a simple Forex news trading strategy. And what I want to do is look at it in relation to a big event that's just happened in the markets, which is the BR exit from the Eurozone. Now, in terms of what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be looking at how to trade media delusion. Now, what is media delusion? Media delusion is when you get a market that moves too far too quickly, and basically the media starts to draw conclusions that are not backed up by facts or rational thought. And I've got some illustrations in a moment in terms of the British pound moving to the upside before the BR exit and moving to the downside after the BR exit. Now, does this strategy work? Well, we used it before BR exit to basically conclude that there was no real upside left in the pound at all. The Remain vote was totally discounted, and there's a high chance that the UK would vote to leave as well if we looked at the facts rationally. Now, that did come to fruition, and we got a nice profit in the British pound on the way down. Now, we've changed our view. We think the media has become deluded now in terms of how bearish they have become about the British pound, and we think they're drawing certain conclusions. Some of them have been proved wrong already. They're not supported by rational argument or facts. Now, we're looking for a rally from here. Now, in terms of using this strategy, what you normally want, if this market is heavily bullish and you get delusion come in, then you want a technically overbought extreme, and vice versa if the market has gone down. Now, I'm just going to look at media delusion with some examples, and I'm just going to list them out on a screen here and chat you through them. So here they are. Then we're going to come back and discuss in a little more detail. Okay, let's take a look at how the financial markets actually became deluded in terms of the way they viewed the facts when the GBP USD reached a bullish extreme. Now, I put down 3 facts that came out on the day of the vote. Now, in terms of the first one, the polls are 52% to 48% in favour of the Remain vote. Now, the media just took that the Remain vote are going to win, but it is extremely close, and polls are very often wrong. However, if you actually took the fact that older people were voting out and younger people will tend to vote in or Remain, then you've got older voters who are more likely to actually cast a vote than younger voters. That would clearly swing the polls in favour of the out vote, but the media didn't see that. Now, moving to bets. On the Remain vote, 70% in favour of Remain. I cannot see any reason why anyone pays attention to betting odds. And while the Remain vote actually had more money on the result, i.e. they did bigger bets, there were more people voting for the out vote. I mean, I just don't see betting odds as being particularly significant. If you looked at the number of bets, if you did want to get something from bets being placed, clear that the out vote put on more bets. Nigel Farage of the Leave campaign thinks the Remain campaign have edged it. Now, he's a senior person of the out campaign, but it's just said in the heat of the moment after hard polling. He's not really following the polls. It's just an opinion. Again, the market took that the Remain camp would win. And of course, what we saw was basically the Leaves win. And, we had a complete consensus almost that the Remain vote would win. Now, obviously, I've done the definition of delusion, which I'm sure everyone knows. But, the reality, we can see it there. The market was not seeing the reality. Now, in my view, the market has also become deluded about the GBP USD. Now it has sold off. It's now at a bearish extreme. And some of the conclusions that people are drawing have got no basis in fact, in my view. So let's take the first one. London will lose its status as a major financial centre No, it won't. Yeah, London has been a major financial centre for years, hundreds of years, so it will remain a major financial centre. All what will happen is new offices will be opened up in the EU and you get a passport to do business within the EU. The EU will penalise UK trade heavily and send the economy into recession. That's open to debate. Obviously, the EU does a lot of trade with us. We do a lot of trade with the EU. The EU actually does more trade with us than we do with them. So they're not going to want to penalise us too heavily. We'll probably get a deal like Norway. Scotland will veto the Leave vote. This one really bemused me, why they put this in the media. They reckoned it would create uncertainty in a political crisis and so forth. And Nicola Sturgeon said that that's what she wanted to do, i.e. the leader of the Scottish Nationalists. But the constitution here doesn't allow her to veto the Leave vote. She just can't do it. Then we've got another ridiculous one. Northern Ireland will leave the UK and unite with the Republic. I think anyone living in the Republic of Ireland or the UK knows that isn't true. We'd have the Troubles back again. It just isn't going to happen. Yeah, Dublin said nothing about it. London obviously wouldn't say anything about it either. It's just put in there as a scare story. 2.5 million people sign a petition calling for a second referendum. Well, basically all those people who signed the petition, and any petition over 100,000 has to be debated in the UK Parliament, are all from the Remain camp. In fact, several 100,000 were from hackers. Again, the media put that in. It said it was going to create more uncertainty. It just isn't going to happen that you get a second referendum in the UK. Now, I did put a little quote at the end there, which you can see, which is, "All I know is what I read in the papers," by Will Rogers. And I'm sure everyone knows that quote. You just don't want to believe the media and the papers and so forth. Now, all the conclusions, the facts I put on this screen were given by serious financial journalists, economists, or senior brokers. Now, they were wrong on the GBP USD when it reached a bullish extreme, and I think they're going to be wrong now it is at a bearish extreme. The conclusions that they are drawing are basically not really supported by the facts. But of course, when we went to the upside, we had greed come into play. They become deluded. Now, as GBP has sold off to the downside, we're at a bearish extreme, and the media again is getting deluded. So I think the pound from here should bounce to the upside. I'll go back up to that short summary there on why we thought the pound was going to fall, which it obviously did, and now why we think we are going to get a rally. Now, in terms of big strong moves to the upside or downside, the media will always get deluded, and that will never ever change. Now, we tend to time our entries technically, but I think, knowing the sentiment behind the technical picture can alert you to when a turn is actually going to come and really reinforce that technical setup. Now, in terms of the French philosopher Voltaire, he once said that common sense is not so common. And I strongly agree with that quote in relation to the markets. And when I was looking on YouTube when I did our BR exit video, when we came down, with the odds being that the pound would come down, I couldn't find anyone who agreed with us, and most people just sat on the fence. Now, in terms of the British pound going up, we don't think it's going to be a new bull trend or anything like that, but you are going to see, in my view, a significant short covering rally of several hundred pips at least. Now, what we want to do as traders is always get trades that have a really skewed risk to reward. Either risk is very little and the reward is a lot. Now, in terms of selling the British pound, I thought the risk was relatively low. Now, I think, in terms of buying the pound, the risk is pretty low as well. And I just don't really see too much more downside. We could sell off a little bit to the downside, just make sure we time it technically, and that is fine. Now, in terms of Warren Buffett, he once said, when people get greedy, be fearful. When people get fearful, get greedy. Now that's what we've got in the British pound. We've got fear reigning at the moment. All big price spikes tend to get retraced to a degree. This one will be no different. So I hope you enjoyed this little summary. We'll see what actually happens with the British pound, and if we do get the short covering rally, I will be doing another video a little bit later on the British pound anyway. So I hope you found this video useful in terms of a very, very simple news strategy, which can actually make you a lot of money if you combine it with your technical analysis. So thank you very much for watching me as per usual. Take care. Have a good day.